hold on to your butts, because this video is about to get crass. Hi, Alicia here. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, this is the place where we talk about books. Today I am excited to bring to you my TBR for the month of July. Normally for my TBR videos I have this D20 challenge that I run every month. I am going to be putting my D20 challenge on hold for the month of July because I am very excited to be participating in the Fuckathon. The Fuckathon is a month-long readathon hosted by Noria Reads. I will link her channel and her announcement video below. The Fuckathon is a readathon that is all about giving a giant middle finger to discrimination, inequity, and systemic institutional oppression. She has come up with 9 challenges and reading prompts this year, and then you can pick a book associated with each one. You don't have to do all of them. You can just pick and choose as many as you think you can do in a month. I have picked 9 books. I picked one for every prompt, and we're just gonna try our best. If you go to Noria's channel, she also gives a ton of book recommendations to fit each of the prompts, so there's really no excuse. I am so excited to participate this year, and yeah, let me know if anybody else, let me know if you guys are doing the old Fuckathon this year. I think this is the 2nd year she has run it, and I cannot wait to do it. So without further ado, let's get into those challenges and let's get into those books. Fuck ableism. Read a book with a main character that has either a visible or invisible disability. So to give a big heck you to ableism, I will be reading The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. This was published in Japan in 2003 and then translated into English in 2009. I read Revenge by Yoko Ogawa last year, and I loved her writing style so much, so I'm so excited to get to more of her work. The Housekeeper and the Professor is a contemporary literary fiction story. It is about a man, a professor, and he is an extremely excellent mathematician. He is just like renowned for being just so good at the maths. The only thing is that he has experienced a traumatic head injury earlier in his life, so he only has an 8-minute memory. So I guess he only has short-term memory, and then his memory resets. And this is it is promised to be a beautiful story about the friendship and relationship between this professor and his housekeeper who takes care of his home, and they have a bond and they have something really good going on, a beautiful story of a friendship. So I am very excited to get to this book for this challenge. Fuck ageism. Read a book with a character that is 50 years or older, or read a book where the central character is 50 years or older, where you are following an older person. So to tell ageism to kick rocks, I will be reading Bina, a novel in mornings by Anakana Schofield. This book was published in 2019, and I will admit the premise and like the introduction into this book is really mysterious. It doesn't give you a lot, so I'm kind of really excited to go in blind, but I do know that Bina is from the point of view of I think she's a 75-year-old woman who has just had enough. She has a lot of rage about the injustices in the world. I think a lot of oppression and misogyny that she has experienced, and she's just done with it. She's over it. And this book is very kind of stream of consciousness, almost like napkin manifestos. It's all like bite-sized little chunks and paragraphs. So I'm expecting this to not be very linear, but to pack a powerful punch. It also promises to be very funny, very poignant, and full of anger. But I am definitely interested in what Bina has to say. Fuck capitalism. Read a book where the characters subvert or make the best of a capitalist system. So for this challenge, and I feel like there are tons of books that you could pick for this prompt. There's tons of books that you could pick for all of the prompts. I had a lot of fun matching books to these challenges, and there were so many more I could think of. So if anybody else is thinking about doing this readathon and is looking for ideas, please let me know in the comments. I am happy to help you think of some books. So for this challenge, to tell capitalism to go to hell, I will be reading Waist Tide by Chen. This book was published in China in 2013 and then translated into English by Ken Liu, who was also a very famous author, in 2019. Was it 2019? Just wait for me. It was 2019. It was translated into English in 2019. And this is a science fiction dystopian novel about a future China where there is this place called Silicon Isle, which is essentially a trash island, a large trash island where people who kind of don't have any other choice and are in need of work because the world is so overpopulated, capitalism is such a problem, and they need work, so they go to this Silicon Isle where they are essentially living and working on a trash heap that is just full of, you know, old electronics and all of the doodads that people have thrown away. So it is kind of from the point of view of the citizens of Silicon Isle, but then it also gives a bigger picture of the world and what's going on. And I believe that there is, you know, a class struggle, a war, a kind of an uprising and a revolution that is talked about or explored in this book. It sounds super interesting and just a pretty poignant metaphor of what is happening now and what could happen in the future. So I am really excited to get to Waist Tide and tell you all about it when I read it. Fuck white supremacy. Absolutely send white supremacy to hell. And for this one, you are encouraged to read a book that challenges or subverts the white supremacist ideology. So for this challenge, I will be reading a non-fiction book. I will be reading Black Klansman by Ron Stallworth, which is a memoir. This book was published in 2014, and this chronicles Ron Stallworth, who is a Black police detective in Colorado Springs, and this follows his experience in the 70s. When he first joined this force, he found an ad in the newspaper soliciting people to sign up to be in the KKK. So he basically went undercover and did a huge investigation into what was going on in the KKK, found out a lot of information that led to a lot of arrests and a lot of, you know, subverting plans. And this just sounds like such an interesting story, and obviously one that would have been extremely difficult for him to face at the time. But this is apparently a true undercover investigation story that reads like a thriller, and I imagine it. So I'm excited to join Ron and give a big old middle finger to white supremacy. Fuck religious intolerance. Read a book where the character or characters practice a religion different than yours. For this challenge, I am excited to read another nonfiction book, another memoir. I will be reading We Have Always Been Here, a queer Muslim memoir by Samra Habib. She is a lesbian Muslim, and this is chronicling her life both when she lived in Pakistan and she very much had to hide her identity or struggle with how to exist in the world and the religion that she was in, and then also moving to Canada and the challenges that faced being a refugee, you know, emigrating to another place. And this book is all about her finding herself, her art, her within her faith as a Muslim woman, and then also just finding a way to be herself, her real queer self in the religion that she is a part of. I feel like this is going to be a very challenging, tough, enlightening read. I am really excited to hear this point of view. I'm really excited to learn more about Samra Habib's life. Fuck book elitism. So for this challenge, you are just encouraged to read whatever the heck you want. Just don't even listen to people who, you know, judge what you want to read. So you can read the tropiest, you can read the cheesiest, you can read the smuttiest, you can read the trashiest book that you want. It's just about reading what you want and then, you know, not letting people look down on what you would want to read. I've also seen a lot of people have another take of this challenge that I really like, and that is fuck people who look down upon self-published books. Because I feel like when a lot of the times when somebody is self-publishing their work, that is because they have also faced some sort of discrimination in the publishing industry. Like there's obviously a lot of really dumb and bad shit that goes on in the publishing world. And I like that. So I have chosen to take this that way. So for this challenge, I will be reading a self-published book. I will be reading Camp Slaughter by Sergio Gomez. I have heard so many good things about this book on BookTube. This is going to be a classic slasher, teens in the woods, bad stuff happening. So from what I have heard and what I understand, this is about a bunch of teens that go and stay at a cabin in the woods. They're going to party. They're going to do their thing. They're going to just go be wild, have sex, drink, do drugs, do all the good stuff. But what they don't know is that there's a danger in the woods. Expecting this to be fun, campy, bloody, slashy, maybe a little bit tropey, maybe a little bit cheesy, but also self-published. I am so excited to get to Camp Slaughter by Sergio Gomez. Fuck gentrification. Read a book where a community is fighting against or dealing with gentrification in some way. I will be reading Pride by Ibi Zoboi. This is a Pride and Prejudice remix. It is set in Brooklyn. It is following a character named Zuri who is living in Brooklyn in a very quickly gentrifying community. And then this wealthy Darcy family moves in across the street. And we all know the plot of Pride and Prejudice, and it is about gentrification of community in Brooklyn. This is a YA, obviously it's a YA romance. We all know Pride and Prejudice is. I am so excited to get to this. I have heard so many good things about Ibi Zoboi's work in general. I have not read her before, so I am stoked to get to it. Fuck slut shaming. Read a book about a character who loves and is unapologetic about sex. So for this challenge, I am super excited to read The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. This was published in 2018, and this is a rom-com. Every once in a while, I get really in the mood for romantic comedies, like movies as well. I'll just want to see something really nice and lovely and sweet. The Kiss Quotient could also fit the fuck ableism prompt because the main character, Stella, has Asperger's. But the Kiss Quotient is about Stella. She is an amazingly talented mathematician. Her career is, she is career driven. She is excellent at her work, but she has just never made time in her life to, you know, become more comfortable with sex. It's just never really been a priority for her, but now she wants to feel more comfortable with it. She wants to learn how to do it. She wants to have sex. So she hires a sex worker named Michael Fan, and they have this relationship where he is basically, she has hired him to have sex with her and teach her how to be better and learn more about sex. This book is also promised to be very, you know, sex positive and legitimizing sex work. Michael Fan is proud of the work that he does. It is a career that, you know, he gets a lot out of in his life. So I really appreciate that aspect as well. The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. And the final challenge is an optional one, but I am going to try and participate in this one as well. And this is to read the group book. And the group book for the Fuckathon is The Source of Self-Regard by Toni Morrison. This is a bind-up of essays that span, 4 decades of her career. This bind-up was published in 2019 and just spans a lot of discussions and essays on her work, on the world. I am ashamed to admit that I have never read anything by Toni Morrison, so I'm really excited to get to this essay collection, its essays, speeches, and meditations, and then also prioritize her fiction over in the near future, because I have heard so many great things about her books, but I just have never dove into them. So I am here to remedy that and read the group book for the Fuckathon, The Source of Self-Regard by Toni Morrison. So there you have it. These are the 9 books that I plan to read in the month of July for the Fuckathon. I have some vacation coming up in July, so I'm actually not thinking that this is an impossible feat. I'm going to really prioritize these books and I'm going to really try and get to them. Let me know if you read any of these and what you thought. Let me know if you want to read any of these. Let me know if you are also doing the Fuckathon and what you are planning to read for it. Again, I will link Noria Reed's channel below. I highly encourage you checking out her content and her suggestions. I got a couple of my my reads from her. So yeah, thanks again for being here, pals. I love talking about books with you all, and I just really am having a really good time chatting with you and chatting about books. So until next time, I'll see you, pals!